Hey guys, this is Justin with Ready Business Systems, and today I'm going over RBS-01 Hiring Termination Automation. So the purpose of this automation is basically to get all of your recruiting efforts as automated as possible with the least human interaction necessary to build your team and maintain your team. So the biggest idea here is that all of your applicants are going to be directed to apply through Service Autopilot, and once they're in your funnel, they'll then be marketed throughout the year. This automation has it's mostly for recruiting. The other automations listed here, RBS 10 and 12, are related to the marketing to these applicants throughout the year. You really do need to be marketing for your applicants as much as you are marketing for your customers, or you're going to run into trouble. So a lot of people who apply for jobs, you're going to waste a lot of time if you take in everyone who applies. So basically, this automation will automatically filter out a lot of those crap applicants that basically aren't qualified or don't know how to follow directions, or they're being lazy. So it saves you from wasting your time because the people that you get are already handpicked by the system. So to get into a little bit more details here, please note that it's meant to run with Gusto Payroll. Gusto Payroll is great if you guys don't use it. It really automates a lot of HR paperwork. So this integrates with Gusto Payroll, so everything regarding this automation is designed to be run through that. It can be modified to run with other payroll, but a lot of the instructions and screenshots and that sort of thing are related to Gusto Payroll. Also, GoodHire BCI service, not a big deal, but it's just a background check service that's easy to use. So if you need one, they're a good company to use. It's also going to include an employee handbook. This handbook is going to, if you don't already have one, you can steal ideas from it. But if you don't have one, it's a great start. You can basically turnkey use this handbook in your company, and all these automations basically enforce that the handbook is followed based on the way it's run and set up. So there's going to be an online application form. I'm just going to go through it one by one because you guys can read this on the marketplace, obviously. So this job application is going to come in. You're going to post this. I'm going to give you a link, and you're going to post this to anywhere where you list your job. So, Facebook, Craigslist, Indeed. You're going to link to this application. This is the form you're going to direct them. Excuse me. So this in its own is a filter because anyone who just clicks apply through Indeed or replies to your Craigslist ad, or they just don't get in touch with you because they didn't fill out this application. Well, there's filter number one. You're only going to get people who know how to follow instructions and fill out, go to the link. It's not that hard to fill out a job application. So what happens here, ask which job you're applying for. Depending on what you select here, it's going to apply a tag within Service Autopilot and create different to-dos and tasks and that sort of thing based on the job you're applying for. Name, obviously, this will enter right into Service Autopilot. You don't have to do anything. Phone number, email, these are going to be used for marketing in the future in that automation once they're in the system. Just basic interview questions. These can all be customized in your forms in your account once it's installed, or you can use it as is. Wage desired, this is helpful because right off the bat if they're asking for $30 an hour, $50 an hour, if you're not hiring in that wage range that they've already disqualified themselves. Date available to start, you need to know where you heard of the job. This will map to the field so you know where you're getting your leads from. Shirt size, this is going to input, you'll see where this is used in the future, but this goes straight into, if they do get hired, you already know their shirt size, and it's going to be straight in the to-do for ordering their uniforms. Their references, same thing. These fields are mapped to their account, and it's going to go straight into the to-do, directing the office administrator to check the references. Today's date of birth. What they're doing here is they're authorizing the background check through the company, which we do need their birth date for, but at the same time you also know how old they are, so if they're not qualified to do the job, you know that off the bat. So when the process starts, you can get something like this. This is our dummy applicant. They applied for a job, they applied for a field job. And right here, you're going to have all the instructions. So all this stuff has screenshots and instructions. So for anyone who doesn't know how to use the system, isn't familiar, it's essentially going to train you or your office staff how to process these without having to have much knowledge. So this is where, again, these people already filled out the job application, followed instructions. The second test, you're going to look at their resume. The instructions are here, and it's going to ask you, hey, is this someone you're interested in hiring? So if you look at it, they spelled everything wrong, they don't have experience, then you don't have to hire them. If you want to hire them, it says right here, if the applicant's of interest, click here to initiate the hiring automation. So basically, if you don't do anything, just close this out. You're deciding that you're either not hiring right now, but they're still going to market it to in the future. So you're always going to be building up these leads and gathering these leads is the idea, just like your customer leads, and saving in the system for when you are hiring, you can market to them very easily. If they are of interest, you click here. It's going to send out a phone interview email, and this is the second test. By the way, phone interview email. These are all set up as quick assist as well. So once you send out once you click here, it's going to send this email out instructing them to call in, which these are all customizable, 12:30 and 1 p.m. Tuesday to Friday. This is just when we selected that's a good time for people to call in. And this is the second test. So if they don't call in, then they automatically disqualified themselves. They're going to have automatic follow-ups on this phone call. Hey, we haven't heard from you yet. There's also tests to make sure that the employee opened their email. So if they're just ignoring you or not. They saw the email. If they didn't see the email, the office is instructed to call them and tell them to call them back. So it's basically another test to make sure that people know how to follow instructions. So by the time, you put any effort into this person, they already followed instructions and that they filled out the job interview email, and they filled out the application form, and they also called in on time. And then you move forward. These quick assists are built in here. So when they do call in, these quick assists are located here. Sorry, I lost it. This right here, this icon, quick assists, you click on this. So when the employee calls in, this is what the to-do is instructing you to do. You click on employee, and you're going to fill out either phone interview or in-person interview. And these are going to be on your account. So once you click on that quick assist, you're going to get this phone interview form. This is where you can, if you're managing the guys, your manager's managing the guys. Typically, the office administrator is always at the phone. They have time to do this sort of thing. They'll fill out this phone interview form and kind of pre-qualify these people if they did call in. And by the time the person performing the in-person interview performs it, they already have these people know that they called in. They have a little bit of information about them. This here has information about their experience, question response. It also has a section here, overall impression. So you're going to have them pre-screened by the office administrator, letting you know, I thought this person sounded really good, or I don't think they sounded very good. So right here, if they are coming in for an in-person interview, it says right here, we'll email them time and dates. Right here, date and time of in-person interview. So if phone interview happens and you want to bring them in for an in-person interview, then this is the time that they're going to have their in-person interview done. And all these fields map over. Next step here, phone interview was completed. Perform the in-person interview. So this is telling you to schedule this. So this comes pre-populated from that phone interview email telling you what time the interview is at. It can be dispatched onto the dispatch board, so then the manager or someone else can then easily perform the in-person interview knowing that person's coming in. Quick assist. And the in-person interview email. So this is a different form. I'll give you a little guide. You don't want to forget anything. I've even used these myself. As many interviews as you do, they say checklists are good to have. This is for the in-person interview general form. This can also be printed if you don't want to do it online or at the computer. The person's going to introduce themselves, tell a little bit about the company, about the position, setting expectations for the work hours, RAIN policy, different random questions to test the people. And again, these are all customizable. These questions down here are important. Not this one, but are you hiring this employee? So basically, if you hit yes, then they're going to get an email saying they're hired, which I can show to you because it's basically a welcome email for the employee instructing them about all the expectations, the handbook, all those sorts of things. If you say no, it's going to send them a rejection email. If you say give me 1 week, it's going to email them letting them know we need time to decide. If you're trying to figure out if you're filling the position or if you're doing other interviews, it's going to then remind whoever performed the in-person interview to get back to the person. And if they don't, it's going to send a rejection email. If the employee is hired, so this can be done by either hitting yes, or in my company, they tend to skip these in-person and phone interview emails. You can skip them, it's okay. You just kind of circumnavigate the test, but if you have someone that you already know per se through networking and you don't want them to have to go through those steps, you just have to have them fill out the job application over here. And then you can have them just tag them as an employee, which is one of these quick assists again. So right here, we do a quick assist if it ever loads, and tag them as an employee. They have, here we go. Sorry, the internet's going slow here. Employee, and then you tag them as an employee here, hire employee. So once they're tagged as an employee, you're going to get these series of to-dos, which are the hiring checklist, which again can be customized. One of the ones you're going to get is instructions on how to enter them as a Service Autopilot user to make sure they're showing. So this addresses all the common mistakes. If someone follows these, they're going to be selectable on the dispatch board, all those things that you want for a field applicant. There's different ones for office applicant, for garage applicants. So different checklists to make sure they get set up properly. Also, there's a couple points where people will check the stages of the quote. Check for references. So I believe it's during the phone interview process, they're going to check the references. And if they haven't checked the references yet, they're going to check them again. So again, if you skip the whole process, you just tag an employee, we still want to check the references. This will pull from the application, all this stuff, check applicants' references. You saw that on the application. It'll give them their name, phone number, and relationship. If they're okay references, you click yes. If they're not okay, you click no. So very easy to use for anyone who doesn't have the training. Another checklist, safety and uniform, and you'll be able to select who these get assigned to. Perform employee with uniform and safety items. So shirt size large, this is where that was pulled from that original applications process. This pulls from the handbook that we have, or you can change it. Each employee should show up with long sleeve pants. We charge them for their first, as you'll see on the handbook, but we charge them for their first t-shirts because you get a lot of turnover in this business. After that, they get them for free. So we do them as deductions. And we provide them with safety gear because that's the law. This one's, there's instructions, hire instructions for both the office and for the manager, the field position. So for the field position, when we first hire someone, we're going to explain to them how to use a tablet. We're going to show them how to use a paper timesheet, how to spool weed whacker heads, and making damage to-dos. So these are customizable, but these are the tasks that we have assigned to our manager, our field manager, who will train the new guy. Lastly, this automation has reviews built in. So on a quarterly basis, again, according to the handbook, we do reviews with the guys. These are great because they are very important. They're recorded. They're going to be saved in the system so you remember what you said to them. Sometimes if your manager is not great at taking notes, you can have the office person sit in or a second person sit in and record the notes, but it's important because you're going to get this feedback. If you're not running in the day-to-day of your company, you can see, I like these because you can get an email of the summary. So they're going to spend a half an hour talking to these guys. I can skim over this in a minute and see, kind of feel out how someone's doing. So these employee reviews are done quarterly. They're going to appear on your waiting list for each employee that they need a review. These are built in a way, if you've heard of a compliment sandwich, so that the negative first and the positive second, so you're always ending on a positive note. This has a lot of things in here that I've learned from different conferences and that sort of thing. Just general questions like, do you like your job? Big question, kind of like, would you refer us to friends? That's a big question for customers. Lastly, if someone quits, they'll be emailed a survey asking them why they quit. So you can get some feedback there, why they quit, an opportunity for you to realize how you can improve your company. So that's it, guys. That's the hiring termination automation. Again, this is designed to be built with the other much simpler automations. The idea is to get these applicants in the system all the time. You always want to be collecting these applicant leads so they can then be marketed to. If you're taking your applications on Craigslist or email, you're going to lose all these guys. This way you're making sure that they're all being directed to apply through this application form and saved in Service Autopilot. On our account, these other automations, they're going to be sent postcards, voicemail bombs, emails, text messages. They're going to be contacted throughout the year at critical times when you know you need to be hiring people. So proactively, just when you think, I need more help in the field, what am I going to do? All of a sudden, you're going to get all these applicants contacting you about work. So very, very powerful, filters out a lot of tasks required for hiring. Combined with Gusto Payroll, it makes hiring a breeze. So that's the automation RBS 01. Check out the other automations or check out the website at readybusinesssystems.com. Catch you guys later.